everybody. Thank you for joining me again today here at Re-Written Vintage Homestead. And I wanted to wrap up our homesteading series that we did. So part one was, what is homesteading? Part two was, should you homestead? And if you got through those two and you've decided you want to go on, that's what this video is for, which is part three. How do you get started? So we've already talked about you don't have to own a farm. You can do it anywhere that you live. You don't have to have a lot of money. And that's the fun of it, actually, is homesteading without much money and figuring out how you can do the things you want and create the life you want. And so let's get started. So my advice, if you would like to get started homesteading, the number one thing I would suggest is to do your research. So there's such a wealth of knowledge out there that we have that those that came before us didn't have. But you can always start with your elders, the ones that came before you, because chances are they didn't have it as good as you. They can remember their parents and their grandparents and how they did things, how they grow things, how they harvested things, how they took care of animals, and how to repair things. And the generation before you, no matter what age you are, they're excited to teach you new things, believe me. So if you're interested in that, start with your elders, start with your neighbors, start with people that have done that before or are still doing it. And they're going to give you the best information, and they can probably show you how to do it hands-on. Another resource is to read books. There, you can go to the library. Many libraries, you get books for free. And there's section after section after section of books on gardening and herbs, using herbs for medicinal reasons, and fruit trees and animals and animal husbandry. And so go to your library and see what you can find. Go to your community college. If you pay taxes, you can go to your community college and use the library. And so do that too. Try to get your hands on books and magazines. If you have a friend or a neighbor that gets those types of things, ask if you can borrow them for a while, and keep a notebook and start writing those things down and learning as you go. YouTube is a great source of information. You can learn so much on YouTube from people that, like me, that love teaching and are willing to teach you a new skill. You just have to be careful because some people know what they're talking about and some people don't. So you want to use a discerning eye and learn the skills that you can. And try to put that together with the books that you read and the information that you get from your elders to make wise decisions. Okay? You can take a class. So a lot of farms will offer classes. There's one farm not far from me that does the whole chicken, from raising chickens to butchering chickens. Now, I'm not interested in it because I know if I have pets, they're going to end up in my house, even if it's a pig. So there's no need learning how to do that. There's some things I'm just going to have to rely on the grocery store for and sales. So, but you can take classes at your local community college, your community education center, park districts, things like that. So see where you can take a class and learn. Volunteer. You can volunteer to work at a farm. You can volunteer to help someone with their garden, help someone with their flowers, and you can learn from them as you go. Go to a historic site. Does your town have a museum or historic sites where they have the signs where you can walk along and read about things? You can learn a lot looking at old tools and looking at videos and things that they have in museums on how things were done in the past. So see what's in your community that's free, and try to think of resources within your community that are free, and that includes people that you can learn from. Okay, so another good place to start homesteading is right where you're at, right in your home. Is there something that needs repaired? Is there something that you've put off doing for your home that you really should do? So, like, did you cover your windows and your air conditioner? Winter's on the way. You know that heating costs are going to go up 50%, they're saying. Economists are saying for this winter. So, what are you doing to save some money for this winter? Did you stock up your freezer? Um, are you trying to bake and cook from scratch? So, what can you do for your home right where you're at? You want to recycle what you can so that you don't have to go out and buy more things. You want to purge what's taking up space. This was such a huge light bulb moment for me when we downsized. So we went from a home that had 4 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, a full basement, an attic, and a 2-car garage, to a home that has a half kitchen, a half bath, no closets, 1 bedroom, a laundry room, a living room, and a front room. And so we had to get rid of so much stuff, but it wasn't that painful, because when you start looking at what's surrounding you, you'll find a lot of it is filler. So you have some things that people have given you, your children have made you, your parents have gave you, you bought on a vacation that's special to you, that you just can't part with. But probably not that picture you got over there from Hobby Lobby, or probably not that doily, and probably not that pot, and probably not the things that you got years ago to fill up wall space and to fill up space you really don't care about. So you want to surround yourself only with the things that you love and that you have a special attachment to for some reason, not fillers. And the reason I say that is because you can resell those things and make money, the things that you don't have an attachment to. I've also seen people whose homes actually, it's hurt their homes. It's hurt their foundation. It hurts their walls. That type of thing when they hoard too much. So you only want to surround yourself with things that are useful and that you love. So start there too. Start to think about how can your yard, no matter how big it is, help you. Let's say you have just a little bitty yard. Can you put in some tomatoes there? Can you grow some peppers? Can you put in a row of lettuce? How can your yard work for you? Do you have pine cone trees? What can those pine cones do? What can those pine needles do? Could you learn how to make baskets with pine needles? Could you sell those? Could you make wreaths out of those pine cones? Start looking around you in your own yard. And can it make you money? Can it make you food? What can it do for you? No matter how big. Go to the nearest park. Go on a walk up and down the road, wherever you can, and see if there are opportunities there to forage. Are there berries? Are there wild berries? Are there apple trees that are hanging over the walkway that are just falling on the ground and they're just rotting? Are there, learn how to use medicinal things such as clover. You can make coffee out of dandelion if you want to try that. I've got a video on it. It really tastes pretty good. So it's a strong coffee. But look at the opportunities that are right there in front of you for foraging. Okay, build a pantry. That's huge. You want to start by making a list of things that you buy regularly. There's no need in stocking your pantry with stuff you're not going to eat. Okay? So start with writing down your favorite foods. So do you guys love soup? Do you eat chili quite a bit? Do you love meatloaf? Do you like lasagna? Do you eat Chinese? Whatever it is, figure out what you enjoy eating the most. Look at those ingredients and then figure out of those ingredients, what can you buy in bulk? What can you store long term? What canned goods do you need for those recipes? That's a good place to start on your pantry. And the pantry is so important because if you have bad weather, if you have sickness, any of life's events, the pandemic that we never thought would ever happen, if any of those things happen and you're unprepared, you may not be able to get to the store if you have car trouble. So you want to be able to have those resources at home that you can throw together a meal. Go through your tried and true recipes that you make often. That's the best place to start. Exchange recipes with others. So you know the ground beef used to be fairly inexpensive. Not so much anymore, but you can make a lot of meals out of ground beef. But do you only know one or two? Why don't you ask your friends at work, your neighbors, your family, do they have some good hamburger recipes? And exchange those with you. Try them out. Try something new. Take a cooking class. Learn how to do these things that you need so that you can become more self-reliant on yourself at home. Okay, so you want to start shopping at sales and at dollar stores and go to auctions, and you want to go to garage sales. So you want to start saving money. Now, why is saving money so important? Well, because you're not self-reliant if you have to go out and bust your butt every day, right? You're relying on other people to hire you so that you can support yourself. The more you can do so that you don't have to go out into the workplace, the better off you are. So you want to try to save money. Now, if you can go to the dollar store and buy a glass, you can go to a garage sale and buy 5 glasses for the same price. Why would you go to Macy's and buy a set of glasses for 5 times the price? So you want to see what you can do to start saving you money so you can actually start feeling more self-sufficient. And once you start seeing a few rewards, that encourages you to do it again and again and again. You're starting to save money, you're seeing that money stockpile, and you're feeling more self-reliant. Learn how to do things for your pantry like dry canned crackers and flour and breadcrumbs and pasta and things like that to keep them bug-free. It doesn't do any good for you to go to Sam's and buy a 20-pound bag of flour or crackers and then bring it home, put it up in the cupboard, and then the bugs get in it. But if you bring it home and you learn how to dry can those things to keep bugs out and so that they last you a very, very long time, you're saving money. Okay? So the pantry is a good place to start too if you want to start homesteading. Learn a primitive skill. You know, I heard an interesting conversation the other day that I thought I'd share with you that someone pointed out, and it's so true. You know, years ago, people worked very, very hard because they had to, out of necessity. If they didn't work, they didn't eat. Okay? So if they didn't work, they didn't have clothing. If they didn't work, they didn't have education. Well, as the next generation comes up, you want your children to have life better than you had it, right? So you don't want them to have to work so hard. And so things are invented. You know, you get more workplace benefits and things. Times change. So the next generation doesn't work as hard. Okay, so now we're going the next generation and the next generation to kind of where we are now, where we see a generation that if they did lose power, if they did lose water, they would be absolutely devastated. because they wouldn't know how to survive. Well, that's when you have the development of chaos um, and panic. So, as we wanted our kids to do better than us and not have to work so hard, we quit teaching them things. We started putting the phone in front of their face or turning on the TV or the computer. And they didn't learn how to do the skills that we had to do, or our parents had to do, or our grandparents had to do. So we've done them no favors, have we? I'm including myself. So it's time to teach your grandchildren and yourself a new primitive skill. So, what are some of those? Well, there's candle making. You're always going to need light. So, if the power would go out, you would have candles. You could also use candles to start fires. So, and candles are expensive. So, if you enjoy them just for aesthetic reasons, learn to make your own and save a lot of money. Soap making. Soap is expensive. Laundry soap is expensive. Cleaning soap, hair soap, body soap, all of it is expensive. So it's a fun thing to learn. It's something that your children and your grandchildren would enjoy learning how to do too. And there's so many essential oils and things out there now that you can really come up with beautiful scents that are safe for your skin and safe for your hair and your household too. Actually, safer than what you buy. You should learn how to start a fire. That's huge. So, what would happen if you did lose your power? You did lose your gas and that type of thing. You need to be able to cook outdoors. So, we are going to be going further into these type of things and trying different things. And I'm going to be learning with you too. And we're going to experiment as we go and see what works the best. But that's an important primitive skill to learn how to do. Preserving food. Um, so preserving food, whether it be freezing, dry canning, pressure cooking, whatever it is, to save yourself money so it doesn't go to waste, so you can put things up so they can last a very long time, so that you save money, so that if you can't get to town, you won't starve. Okay? So food preservation is huge. Dehydrating. Anything you can do to store food long term. Herbs. Herbs for medicinal reasons, for spices, for to make your food taste better. So to learn about herbs, there's lots of books out there that you can read. There's lots of classes you can take, and there's a lot on YouTube too. But think about the cost of cough syrup and cough lozenges and things for your sinuses. Honey is one of the best things, local honey, for your sinuses that you can get. So learn about those things that come from nature that can save you money. Start planting things from seeds, but then save your seeds. So, there is in the United States, there is a seed bank where seeds that, just like animals, some plants become extinct. So, because of expansion and civilization and weather conditions or whatnot, but there is a national seed bank where they've kept different variety of seeds. It's kind of scary, isn't it? But they're not going to pull out those seeds and use them unless there's a huge disaster. So you could be starting your own seed bank at home and saving them and reusing them and developing them. And it's really interesting to learn how to create your own hybrids of things. So that's a primitive skill too. So seed saving is easy to do. There's wet saving, dry saving. We'll go over all of that too, but there's already a plethora information out there for you to do that. Practice cooking from scratch. It's so easy to just run down the road and get something to eat, isn't it? And it used to be inexpensive. But do you know that that's the leading cause of obesity in the United States is fast food? And that's because it was inexpensive. It was, and this is sad. This is a sad commentary, but it's actually, or it was before inflation hit, less expensive for a family to eat out than to go to the grocery store. And so that's why you see a lot of families that are poor or in poverty at poverty level who are obese. It's cheaper to buy the Kraft macaroni and cheese and the ramen noodles and the McDonald's dollar meals than it is to buy a head of lettuce. We all know that, right? Um, so you want to learn to cook from scratch to save yourself money so that you don't have to eat junky foods that are not good for you, even though they're inexpensive. Um, they used to have home economics classes that taught. Um, well, when I grew up, it was girls, but it should be girls and boys. Um, how to cook and how to make things from scratch and how to be more self-reliant. It got rid of all of that. Um, so get back to that. If you instead of buying a cookie mix, make your cookies from scratch. Learn how to do that. Instead of buying a loaf of bread, try to learn how to make bread from scratch. It's rewarding. It's very rewarding, but it also tastes better and it's also better for you and it'll save you money too. Start making lists. Okay, you know how it is when you go to the store for one or two things, you got that in your head. I'm just going to run in there and I'm going to get this or I'm going to get that, and then you walk out with 2 bags of things. If you would have went in with a list, got what was on your list, and then walked out, you would have saved yourself a lot of money. You're not surrounding yourself with things that you don't need. So the whole idea of this is to be able to stay home, take care of yourself, and not rely on others, and to save your money. So start making lists and sticking with those lists. Do that for Christmas too. Make a list for who you need to buy for, who you can make things for, how much you're going to spend, how much you can afford, and stick to it. What can you make? What can you make? That's fun though. And get your kids involved and get your grandkids involved with that too. It's more fun. It makes the holidays more meaningful. And then the last thing I want to say is just do it. Just get started. Don't say, well, I don't know where to start. I don't have room for a pantry. I don't have a pantry. I don't have a yard. I don't know what to do. Just do it. Just like anything. Don't look at the roadblocks. Try to look forward. And I found an interesting quote by Dr. Martin Luther King. And he said, you have to take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. That's true, isn't it? We talk ourselves out of doing things out of fear. We say, well, I live in an apartment. I'm not a homesteader. So forget it. I live in a mobile home, so I'm not a homesteader. And people will make fun of me if I say I am, so I'm not going to do it. But you learn a skill or you try something different that saves you some money, and you find you don't have to go to the store as often. When the power goes out, you can take care of yourself. You can have heat. You can cook. You can protect yourself. Things like that go along with homesteading. You can take care of your animals. You can take care of your house, your property, whatever. The things you buy last longer. Once you start seeing a little bit of progress, then you're going to jump in both feet. So I hope this helped you guys and gave you a few ideas of where to start. But I agree with Dr. King. Just start. Don't talk yourself to death. Just do it. And you'll be surprised at how rewarding it is, how closer it'll bring you to your family, how it'll build your self-esteem, and how you'll finally realize you really do have a choice in how you live life. You're not just a little piece of dust in the wind. You really do have power, and it's time to reclaim that power.